Okay, Mishlei 23:9. This is a very, very, very classic, tame, clean Mishlei pasuk, and that's probably gonna be the challenge, right? Ba'ozne Ksil al tadaber pen yavuz l'seichel milacha. No elaborate stories here. I wonder if is this the end of the steel and anonymity, or are we still in the this, because this feels like just normal Shlomo HaMelech, I haven't counted the psukim.
I feel like there haven't been enough.
Yeah, I feel like also, right? There's supposed to be 30, right?
33, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like it can't be, but okay, fine. We'll have to check later. Okay, so this one should be fairly easy to translate.
Don't speak in the ears of a Ksil.
Don't speak in the ears of a Ksil.
Because he will disparage I'm trying to figure out the seichel of your words. However, seichel means I'm like trying to figure out a word to use that's not the words that we use to translate other similar words.
Seichel.
Seichel.
Anyone want to translate seichel? Intelligence. Intelligence
that's
of your words. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. What's the
shiur there?
It is baza, I believe. Let's check the BDB. I was wondering why you were sitting on that side. Okay.
So sitting on this side, and there's
See. All right. So this I don't like. To despise. Disparage, I think, is a better translation, because despise to me implies like just the internal feeling. Yeah. But I mean the quintessential expression of this in Mishlei is 1:7, which is just don't block Sean like you often do when you sit there. So fear of Hashem is the beginning of knowledge. Wisdom and discipline, evilim bazu. They disparage. They scorn is another good word. Vayibez esav esabachora. To shew despite toward. Okay. But this will probably be one of the questions we have to take up. Okay, so Mitzvah says milecha is ma'marecha kamo ein mila bilashoni. Okay, so milim means words. I feel like that's a modern Hebrew term, right? Milim is words, like milon is the dictionary, right? Is that yeah? Okay. Saadia Gaon says benochuchos. Oh, this is interesting. Benochuchos kal hadas al tadaber. Wow, that's radically different. I think it changes every word. All right, so this is a hard word to translate. Nochachos, lenochach, nehaish. Yeah, facing. So in the I'm going to say in the presence of. Okay, I think that is. I think it literally means facing, but I think in the presence of seems to make sense here. Kal hadas.
Light-minded.
Yeah, a light-minded, not like you love light, like or, but like light-minded person. Okay. Al tadaber. Okay, he doesn't change that one. Do not speak. Bameh sheyavuz lemuskal midvarecha. Bameh. Yeah, I think about.
Yeah.
Right, about. Or in that which, maybe in that which, about that which shiavuz, he will disparage. He'll disparage. Is just to connect the tavuz. Muskal. What is it? Muskal, like a muskal rishon. Yeah, same word, but I mean same shoresh, like a muskal rishon. A concept, okay, midvarecha, from your words. Okay, so in the presence of a light-minded person, do not speak about that which you will disparage a concept from yours. I know that doesn't quite flow syntactically. Can we make it better? In the presence of a light-minded person, do not speak about that which will. Maybe we kind of have to add an order. That which will cause him to disparage a concept from your words. Let's try that. I mean, I'm open to modifying it.
Cause and effect here?
Good question. Is that we're saying don't speak about something, about that which he will disparage a concept of your words. It feels like cause and effect. Yeah. And even in the claim shot.
Or is it that with which do not speak about a concept with which he will disparage?
But how do you finish the sentence?
I think the question is, does he
I would
already
just, because it's Hebrew, I would just say that in the presence of the light-minded person, do not speak a concept from your words that he will disparage.
Okay, do not speak let me just see if that works out. A concept from your words which he will disparage. Does that fit in the Saadia Gaon? So we got a concept from your words which he will disparage. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
It seems like you're saying a bunch of words,
Mhm.
and then one of those concepts is and this.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's.
Yeah, we have to capture that thing of muskal midvarecha, because that's what he adds.
Yeah,
I'm still not happy with middle. Yeah.
But is he disparaging those words or like from your words?
Yeah,
Is that causing him?
I'm not sure. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm not. The bameh is really vague.
Yeah, like it could be that this is something he already disparages, and then because then you saying it is just awakening that existing thing versus this he felt neutral towards it, and now that you said something he disparages.
Yeah. All right. So let's leave it like this. Let's leave it vague, and then we'll touch up the translation as we if we take him up.
Can you just add in the he?
Oh, he. He.
Yeah.
Okay. Targum says "Udne de sichla lo samalel mitul dishiyet l'sikula demilachtos." So I assume dishiyet is just a translation of booze. That's the only one I don't know, but I'll check it out anyway. You could make a pun here. He'll talk about your words. Yeah. Let's see. I think I gotta look at that a little delay. I don't think it's a Ksil wood line system. No. Wait, how did it spell it? Just one word, right? Oops. Two yids. How's the other targum? Yeah. Okay. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. All right, fine. So we'll ignore it then. All right, so then we have Art Scroll says, "Speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will scorn the intelligence of your words." That's kind of how we did it. I'll say scorn also.
Translate the pasuk, not what we did. Right.
How what?
You said that's how we did it.
How we translate the pasuk, yeah. Living Knox says, "Do not speak into the ears of a fool, for he will scorn the logic of your words." Okay. I don't think they had logic in the time of Tanakh, right? I think that's like a modern term, so I don't think he means that. In a fool's ears do not speak, for he will despise the insight of your words. I don't like that either. All right, we're going with ours. All right, questions. It's kind of refreshing to have a pasuk that is like relatively simple in its form, It's like a nice palate cleanser.
One at a time also.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Not a whole cluster of like a whole scenario. Yeah.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
there were 21 psukim the start of the.
Okay.
So this could still be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. What does it mean to speak in the ears of the Ksil?
Okay. What does it mean to speak into the ears of a Ksil, right? What are you going to do? Speak into his nose? Yeah, Sean?
Yeah, furthermore on that question, why specifically in the ears? Like what's you could just say don't speak to the Ksil. So
yeah.
What's implied by the ears of the Ksil?
Right. Well, of course, I have to ask, what is a Ksil in this context? Oops, sorry, Ksil in this context. And by the way, I think Saadia Gaon is already taking a stance on that, because I don't think I've done a lot of Mishlei, and I don't recall I don't recall Saadia Gaon translating Ksil as Kel Hadas or Kal Hadas. I was not going to kill Deos Hashem. Kal Hadas. I just want to do a quick checking of this. I just want to just do another one. I'm not going to check every pasuk, but I just want to check one other case, and see if this is how he always translates it. Wow, Mishlei for Ksil is used 51 times. Okay, Ksil means nudas. I mean, that's a lot. There are what I think 300-ish pasukim in Mishlei.
Really?
I think, right?
60.
Yeah. So I'd say that's a pretty good track record. All right. 122. I'm just gonna check that and see 122. It's possible he does translate it like that all the time, but
he uses the word Ksil in
yeah, that's what I thought. Right. Yeah.
in 1929. It's then the pasuk ends with Ksil, and he just says Ksil.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't ever recall being made aware that he has a different translation. So I don't know if that means that he is taking Ksil in a different way here than usual. Like he feels the need to like deviate from the normal thing of Ksil. So that's a question. Yeah, Ellie.
What is the harm in doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
disparaging seems like not really a net loss, more of just a lack of an activity.
Yeah.
It just seems like, even though I'm like, it's worth trying, like it couldn't hurt if
Yeah. Yeah.
disparaging isn't at the end of the world.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's a good question. Love the so what question. Yeah.
Why will he disparage your words?
Yeah. Okay. What well, let's go ahead and ask also, what does Yavuz l'seichel milecha mean? And then why will the Ksil do this?
And then how is he doing it?
Yeah. How does he do this? Yeah.
Can you scroll down to 5? Yeah. In terms of caring, right? Who is it affecting? Is it affecting him? Is it affecting you, or is it affecting another party?
Yeah. In you, another party.
I'm assuming the audience is the speaker, right?
The audience seems to be you, the speaker. Yeah. But I guess we could still ask though. Is this addressed to a specific type of a speaker? Yeah. Like for example, like, are we talking to someone who is speaking to a general crowd, and in that crowd is a Ksil, or are we talking to someone who is addressing himself to a Ksil specifically?
Yeah, and also like just what's the situation?
Yeah, what is the situation?
Yeah.
I'll put that here. Yeah, I'm going to leave with that question. What is the scenario here? If this is even talking about a specific scenario. Yeah, David?
Yeah. What are you saying and why?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's just put this here. What are you saying and why does it even matter, right? In other words, maybe you just say intelligent things. Yeah. Everything else? Yeah.
Is there any significance to it specifying the sefer milacha, that it's your words?
You mean milacha specifically?
Yeah.
Let's just break this down here. Okay, so what I guess what is seichel in this context, and then why, like, is there a significance in highlighting that these are your words? Yeah. Or is that just the case?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like that. Yeah.
Okay, so what if it's like not really just in the pasuk itself, but it's kind of difficult to like never speak. Like, let's say you're public speaker.
Okay, right. So the question is like, okay. Yeah, I guess what are the parameters of this advice, and what are you supposed to do instead?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the parameters of this advice, and then what are you supposed to do, and then also how do you factor this in when speaking intelligent words in front of a Ksil is inevitable.
It feels like, hey, how are you? And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you explain how we usually translate the seal specifically?
You mean like define?
Yeah.
I can. Shall I? Or should we try to? I mean, I feel like we need some working definition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two working definitions. One of them is mine. One of them is Rabbeinu Yonah's. Yeah.
It's methodological point before that.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to derive like a piece of what Ksil means from the pasuk? Or
So that's always the question here, right? Is like, Ryan Moskowitz always used to say, like, approach the pasuk fresh. But there's always a tension if Mishlei is using jargon, like you can't totally extract it from here. So you have to have some intuition going in. And the question is like, do you lean into the intuition by like formally stating it, or do we work with our vague intuition and let it take root? So let's do my definition and Rabbeinu Yonah's definition, and then keep things open. So we'll do Rabbeinu Yonah because he's better than I am. All right. Rabbeinu Yonah says that a ksil, this is in 122. So the pasuk says, Ad Masai, let me make this a little bit bigger. Ad Masai Pasayim Te'ehabu Pesi. How long, O simpletons, will you love your naivete? V'leitzim latzon chamdulahen, and you leitzim will covet mockery to yourselves. Uksilim yisnu udas, and fools hate knowledge. Okay, so that's one thing we get from the pasuk itself, is that fools hate knowledge. Whatever that means is a good question. But then he says, Rabbeinu Yonah says that in 122. So it's funny. He gives a nice big paragraph to define a pesi, gives a nice big paragraph to define a late, and then Ksil he throws in at the end. It's actually smaller in the version of Rambam. I use it's one sentence. Ksilim himbale ha'pu'ulos haraos. I'm remembering the term we use. Do you remember the term we use? They are masters of evil actions, and they commit transgressions lamalos mishalos enem, to satisfy what their eyes desire, in regards to their enjoyments and their pleasures. So we use the term a veteran pleasure seeker.
yes.
Okay, or a pleasure addict. So that's, I think, how Rabbeinu Yonah takes them. And that's when he says Bali Pulos Ras. Everyone gives into the desire for pleasure. Everyone love. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't like hana, but but he's saying that they basically just are they consistently just go after their taivas, So you could say bal taiva if you want to use like Chazal's term. So that's their definition. And let's see my definition. See if I still hold by it. So this is, again, this is in very much need of an update. This is the 2017 edition. Okay, so first of all, in terms of where they are on the spectrum, yeah, this definitely needs to be updated. So in my Mishlei spectrum, the Ksil, so the color code here is that white is neutral, orange is developing towards the really bad, and then red is the really bad. So Ksil is worse than an Avil, between an Avil and a Russia, in terms of that's like where they are. And the way I define Ksil, let's see. Yes, Aram is in two places. Aram is a almost fully developed Russia, but also Aram is the first step to becoming a Chacham. That's the crossroads.
Like horseshoe kind of theory?
You taught me that term last year. Did you teach it to me in this context? I don't know.
No, I was talking about the lates.
Oh, okay. Yes, the lates. Yeah.
The lates and there was the lates, and I think it was the Ksil. We had a plus.
Could be. Yeah, could be. So the working definition of Aram, which I'll say because we're still in close enough proximity to Bereshis, is Aram is someone who has a working knowledge of the deceptive power of emotions. So on the one hand, it allows him to see through his own emotions and move towards Chachma because he's not taking everything at face value anymore. And like he can start to make that break of like not being in the grips of his own emotions in decision making. But if he uses it for Ra, then he can manipulate other people's emotions and trick them into doing stuff. So it's a very powerful tool. Yeah.
Sounds like another word for like charismatic.
Yeah, charisma is yeah. So the terms, yeah, so when you're using no. charismatic would be if you are going to use it to manipulate others, right? Because charisma is talking about your impact on other people, but arum is like the quality you can just have in your own mind about yourself. Like, I don't think we ever use charismatic if you're on a desert island, right?
Right.
Yeah, meaning you recognize your own ability to be seduced by your own emotions,
Right.
which has nothing to do with
More
charisma.
of an internal.
Yeah. So cunning is the term that like English uses, but I also don't think that captures it. Okay, so Ksil, according to my 2017 definition, is one who's addicted to immediate gratification to the extent that he unconsciously expects reality to align with his desires. Yeah. Okay, that's good. And I read a lot more than that, but should I read this? I kind of don't want to have like I don't want to have two development ideas. So that's a working definition of Ksil. So it does have to do with pleasure seeking. But I think part of the question here is like, to what extent does it also warp his mind? And I think we're going to get into that here. Okay, so let's zoom out on the questions here. So I guess I feel like we kind of have to, yeah.
Disparage, like how are we saying?
Yeah.
The disparaging.
So disparaging is either or both an internal attitude towards something of like looking down on it and rejecting it, or it's also like doing it in speech, like mocking it, which it sounds like, I get the impression that that's what he's doing here, but yeah.
Okay, but it's different mocking than the lakes.
Yeah. How? Good question. I don't know.
Okay.
Lates is really mocking people. I mean, he also mocks like virtues, but he's really putting other people like there's a term in English that we use for what the Lates does. I mean, I know it's mocking, but like bullying. Like he bullies people with speech. He doesn't bully like concepts. Yeah.
Kind of a question, I guess.
Yeah.
A little example that I remember of a rabbi telling me that he had this non-Jewish friend of his.
Yeah.
Who fully believed in Yichud Hashem and Jewish philosophy of Kadosh Baruch Hu and all of that stuff. And he kept Shabbat Mitzvah and Noah.
Yeah.
If he was asked, like, why you don't just convert to believe in this, he was like, well, I'm kind of a hedonist.
Yeah, sure.
That somewhat, it almost seems like kind of counterintuitive to the pasuk. Like he seemed very accepting and open-minded.
Yeah.
I don't know personally.
Yeah,
I imagine he was somewhat expecting a certain worth of intellect, but at the same time,
right. My guess, if I ever, just based on the facts you gave me, I'd be like, this guy's overselling his hedonism a little bit. Like, I feel like you do have to have a certain amount of self-control to be a Ben Noah, or to like even be involved in learning. He might have just meant that my guess is that he doesn't want to give up the pleasures that he would have to give up if he were kept Torah, and like that doesn't seem to be like enjoying pleasure. Yeah, when I say hedonist, I don't mean hedonist like an Epicurean hedonist of like just enjoying pleasures and stuff. This is like a pleasure addict. Like he can't control himself, like the Rambam says. He's like, he just can't stop himself from partaking of the pleasure. He's always and to the point where he's doing averos. I think that's the key phrase in the Rabbeinu Yonah thing. Yeah, right, yeah. Right.
Yeah, like I don't think that guy would be a seal.
Yeah. Shlomo Melech enjoys pleasures, as he says in Mishlei. Yeah.
I have a thought about Saadia Gaon.
Okay.
Just about the difference between Saadia Gaon and our translation.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't have to be that the Ksil like disagrees with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
But if there's something if there's like one thing that you're saying that strikes him wrong, then he's gonna have whatever the responses of this pasuk. Yeah. He's gonna have that to your words.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good move for Saadia Gaon. I just want to fill in a few more facts. I just realized in that initial presentation of Ksil and Mishlei, so he goes on and he says, so and Ksilim hate knowledge. Tashuvu, this is Chachma talking, by the way. Okay, so it says so this is Chachma talking, crying out in the streets and like making its announcements and saying like, how long will you Ksil and hate knowledge? Tashuvu letochachti, return to my rebuke. Hine abi alechem ruchi, behold, I express my spirit to you. Odia devrai eskam, I make known my words to you. And then he says, Chachma says, she says, I guess, Yan karasi vatma'inu. natisi yadi ve'in makshiv. But because I called out and you refused, I extended my hand and there was no one to listen. Vatifru kol atasi, and you rejected all of my advice. V'tochachti lo avisem, and you did not desire my rebuke. Gam ani be'edechem escha. So too I, Chachma, will laugh at your misfortune. What?
Oh, that was a
Yeah, yeah. No, this is aid misfortune. Yeah, not like aid. El ag b'vofachtechem. I will mock when that which you fear arrives. When your fear comes like a shoah, like a Holocaust, and your misfortune comes like a storm. When distress and I always forget tzuka. Constraint, distress, pressing situations come upon you. Then he will call me, but I will not answer. They will seek me and not find me. Tafas kisanu das, because they hated knowledge. Viras Hashem lo bachara, and they did not choose fear of Hashem. Lo abu la tasi, they did not desire my counsel. Noatsu kol tochachti, they rejected all my rebuke. V'yochlu pri darkam umimoatosem yisba'u. They will eat the fruit of their ways, and they will be satisfied with their own advice. Ki meshuvas pasayim targim, the tranquility of the pasayim will kill them, or the contentedness of the pasayim will kill them. The shalvas ksilim ta'abdim, and the tranquility of the ksilim will destroy them. V'shomei ali yushkam betach, but one who listens to me will dwell securely. V'shanan mipachad ra, and will be sheltered from every fear of bad. So that's like the full picture here. Yeah, which should give us some information about why they hate knowledge, which I think we have to answer here, because presumably, I don't think this is a big step to say, that the reason why he's mocking the intelligence of your words is because he hates das, right? And you see, it's not just das, right? It's das, tochacha, etza, like it's not davka das. Yeah, Ali?
So it seems that the reason why he would do this and disparage words is that it's almost like a threat to his lifestyle.
I think so.
And his day-to-day living.
Yeah.
I guess the question though is it possible to be a Ksil in certain areas of pleasure but not others?
Yes.
So, for example, like sleeping in, but other pleasures you won't. So you'll scorn the ideas of, hey, you should get up, you should start being more productive in the morning, but you won't scorn other ideas.
Yeah. So that's a good place to review this concept, that with all of the, I don't know about all, but with many of the Mishlei archetypes, then, like we all have a little spark of Ksil in us, like there's you could be a Ksil in a certain area, you could be a late in another area, you could be a Pesi in another area. And in that area, then you're hardcore like this, but in other areas you could be open. So yeah. And I do think that's going to be, I think this is a good assumption to work with. He hates Das because Das threatens his ability to throw himself into the world of pleasure, thinking that there's not going to be any consequences, or any reason to restrain himself, so yeah. Okay, so this kind of narrows the scope here, right? So I don't think we're talking here about, you go up to Ksil and say, my friend, has anyone ever told you E equals MC squared? Like I don't think, like there's seichel in those words, but I don't think he's going to mock that, unless he associates the seichel of those words with like an entire way of life that threatens his lifestyle. For example, I do think that you could have a Ksil that if you tell him like halacha in some area that has nothing to do with pleasure seeking, he might mock it because to him Torah is a threat to his lifestyle. But there's not seichel per se that he can't stand. I don't think.
Yeah. It reminds me of that quote from Richard Mitchell about hating this, about how if the knowledge of the square of the hypotenuse would in some way restrict it, is it that restrict him? And go against what he wants. Then he could hate the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. Yeah. Okay, so can we answer our so just for this reason also, it's not clear to me whether Saadia Gaon is it's possible Saadia Gaon is not taking a different approach than this. He's just clarifying that like even one word that threatens the Ksil will evoke this response, and then he'll mock everything.
Yeah, and so what I was saying was, I think, it doesn't have to be like if it's 99% things that he's fine with and 1% things he's not. Yeah, he might just have this negative response about everything.
Right. If Saadia Gaon is taking a different approach, it's coming from the fact that he's changing Ksil to Kal Hadas. Kal Hadas is a way less what do you call that's a lower bar than Ksil in terms of like a lot of people are kalei das. I mean, according to Chazal, like nashim daitam kalos alein, so
what does call it mean?
I have a theory on that too. So my theory on that, only because of the nashim daitam kalos alein, is that I have no idea what this has to do with Mishlei. Like, there's like whether this is how Mishlei uses it, but like there are examples given with nashim daitam kalos alein that you guys doing yichud in a shiur now? Rabbi Cinnamon, yeah, right. So you probably learned it's the Mishnah or the thing in Kedushin, which is the source of all yichud stuff about that one man can't be with two women, but you can have one woman with two men, right? And the reason there Rashi gives is nashim daitam kalos alein, that if it's with two women, then they could easily be like convinced to do something inappropriate. Is this ringing a bell? Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. I feel like this is the first thing people learn when they do the yichud sugyas, because it's like right there. So that's one expression of kol hadas. Another expression of kol hadas is when Shimon Bar Yochai and his son were hiding in a cave. I guess Shimon Bar Yochai didn't tell his wife where that they were hiding. He says because if they torture her, then she'll tell where we are, because nashim daitam kalos alein. Okay, and then a third example is, I don't remember the exact halacha, but with royalty, once you register a korban pesach, like then you can't like just change it. And I think there's a thing about a king and a queen who send their servant to designate a korban pesach for them, then they basically relinquish their das to the servant. And like they let him make decisions, because king and queen, their das is kal, So I think those are the three main sources that I developed my theory based on. And so you see, number one, it has nothing to do with intelligence. And my theory is that it has to do with how malleable your reality principle is. That you can quickly adapt your positions and your thoughts and your views to the situation at hand or to someone else's opinion or whatever. So that is not intrinsically a bad quality, and that's what makes this is another dud here that never saw the light of day that I was preparing this year, is that Chazal say that women have bina yisera, but they have das kal. So I was having a whole theory based on that about how women can according to Chazal, women can very quickly like adapt their views to whatever the values are, and then immediately like implement it in particular expressions or whatever. I don't know what the thing is. So anyway, so that's kol hadas, the way Chazal use it, according to my understanding, is a malleable reality principle. Whether it has anything to do with Saadia Gaon, I have no idea. Yeah.
Not clear what you mean by malleable reality principle.
Okay, I'll use the torture example. All right, is that I think during the Bush era, then the argument was advanced that like torture is a good method of like getting facts from people, right? And then I think it's like pretty well established now that basically people will say anything under torture, and like there have been huge like misinformation things that have led to like stuff, because like basically like you can make anyone believe or say or feel anything, if you torture them enough, so like all right, let me back up. In Mishlei and Torah, we care about things being real to you, knowledge being real to you, right? It's not just the abstract intellectual knowledge, it's whether it affects your emotions, right? So whether you relate to it as reality. So das in this context is like you relate to something as being a reality. And the easier that is to switch or to move or to manipulate, that means a kol hadas. If you're COVID das, that's not really a term that people use, it would mean that it would take a lot more, or a lot, maybe it's a slower process of like changing your mind. Yeah. Again, I have no idea if that has to do with Saadia Gaon. I have a completely different theory. Why did we get there? Oh, because I was saying that if he has a different view, it might come from the kol hadas thing. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, so I'm working on two different approaches.
Okay.
One of which I think is the direction which Saadia goes going in.
Okay.
Which creates this halamina, which is you could translate in the ears of a Ksil two ways.
Okay.
One is like it's just within like the presence.
Within earshot.
They're like with earshot. Like
yeah.
Even if they're like very far away.
Yeah.
Right. And they can just barely hear you, then
yeah.
be concerned, and therefore the halamina is like, oh, they're so far away that they're not even like really paying attention, or I'm not speaking directly to them.
Right.
So it's okay to say these things
yeah.
around them. or you say that the within the ears is specifically like
To him. Yeah.
right,
Okay, that's good
you're
for
trying
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
his ears.
Yeah.
So then seems like what we're saying in terms of right, like the concept from your words that like when you're like within earshot of a person who's really against something,
Yeah.
even though they're far away, they will just jump right in there,
Yeah.
and they will attack whatever you're saying. They'll completely disrupt whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Right. And so when you're speaking to somebody like in a group forum and like there's someone around there, that you're trying to impart something to this person.
Yeah.
Right? And recognizing that this is not the context to do it, because it's just going to create this dramatic scenario where like someone barges into your conversation
Yeah.
and like completely derails and disrupts it.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a very dangerous way
Okay.
to impart information.
Okay, so that's good. And so according to that approach, the audience would really, or the why do we care is really not about the Ksil. Like he's not going to accept this no matter what,
Yeah,
but it's going to ruin things for other people,
Yeah.
right? It's going to like mess up the knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, so either the Havmina is coming from a place of like, this guy's personality and lifestyle is not going to affect the idea I'm trying to convey, because like I'm not talking to him, or yeah. Well, did you take a stance on the
so I
Havmina?
feel
Yeah.
like you're at like a party or something,
Yeah.
like you're at like a social event,
Yeah.
right? And you're talking in a group with some people, and
Yeah.
like, let's say somebody asks you a question, you have a great answer to the question. Right?
Yeah.
So now your natural inclination is just as like, oh, I have the answer to this question, so I'm just going to give it over to this person. But if you recognize that there's other people around, other people that are listening that might not be interested in this topic, or
Yeah.
might have very opposing views, and because you're in a public setting and they can just jump in,
Yeah.
right? That might not be the best context in the environment to
Okay.
be having to tell the person instead, that's a great question. I have
Right.
some answers for you. Why don't we meet
Right.
up at like this place and discuss this?
Right. Okay. So let me
Just
give
go
an
ahead.
objection and then a response to the objection. The objection that a person might have when hearing this is like, wait, so we're going to make all these people lose out because of this one guy? So first answer is what you said, which is, there are other ways to convey this information than not in the presence of the Ksil. But the other thing is, no, it's not that they're going to lose out because of this guy by implementing the advice. Is if you don't implement the advice, they are going to lose out because of this guy. Like, in other words, like if you really are concerned with conveying the information in a way that will be heard, then you have to take this guy into account. It would be no different. Like if you, let's say someone asks you a question, and then as soon as you're about to start answering, then a guy starts jackhammering like next to you and drowns out your words. And you say, well, I'm going to stop talking because of that guy. Well, yeah, because you're not going to be heard. So like, this is no different. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about like those conversations you're in where someone derails the conversation and they're
Yeah.
terrible, right? And it really throws people not only off of the like conversation, but the ideas themselves.
Yeah. Right. There's a side point, just putting on my AP English teacher hat here. So there's the, Aristotle had the three modes of persuasion, or the three rhetorical appeals. They call them ethos, pathos, and logos. Is the three things that elements that make something persuasive. So one is the character of the speaker, that's ethos. One is pathos, which is the emotions in the audience, and then the third is logos, which is the ideas themselves. So there's a machlokus whether there's a fourth thing called kairos. Kairos is the persuasion that comes from the timing of the thing. Okay, so is that like, or the scenario, so do you consider that a separate thing, or is just an element of the other ones? But that's the other thing I feel like is relevant in this kind of calculation here, which is that I think the speaker feels a certain urgency to answer the question right now on the terms that it's being presented. Mm-hmm. But not realizing, like, let's say I give an answer and it backfires because of this fool, I might have lost the opportunity. And so it's better off if I like orchestrate another opportunity or whatever, find some other way to do this than to like jeopardize this one moment. Like when the person is asking the question and then they hear it mocked, you might never get an opportunity to answer that question again with their mind still being like ripe for like hearing the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess now that like on the ears related topic, it's interesting how it said ears, which is a very sensory related thing instead of perception related thing. Like it doesn't speak in the mind of the Ksil or speak in the ears, which leads to the mind. I mean, that might be a little excessive, but ears seems like, how they say like goes in when you're out the other.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like it's not being fully internal.
It's like external, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have said, my guess is if it did say anything else, you would either say just to the Ksil or it would say to his lave, speaks to the heart of so-and-so, which is like the mind in Tanakh. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I could see two readings of God's name is you're talking like directly into his ear.
Yeah.
Or you're talking where his ears are like picking it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like what you're saying is the second, where it's like, he's like, what was that I heard?
Yes, it's just like a homing thing, like or like Agents of the Matrix, or whatever. Yeah.
I think it's also on like the Ksil's like from his perspective, like if he's hearing without listening.
Yeah.
So if you can like pick up on that,
right?
He's not actually internalizing.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's look at Saadia Gaon. Okay, because we've been talking about Saadia Gaon. You don't have Saadia Gaon, unfortunately. W, do you remember the page?
177 probably at this point.
Oh, almost. Very good though. I'm so impressed. Lo mana lagamri miladaber bozne Ksil. He's not preventing you completely from talking the words of the Ksil. Okay, so that rules out that one. But Ella Amar Roy Lacha Shiye Lacha Kama Sugi Minadibor. Rather, he's saying you should have for yourself many categories of speech. Tamikehu im hanavonim b'shiur shiavinu. You should make your speech deep with those who are navonim, people of understanding, in a measure that they will understand. V'tafshitehu im haschalim. I think tafshitehu here means to simplify it, like pshatify it, or strip it down, like literally is a lift show just to strip off. Im haskalim with the fools ad heichan shetagia binasam, to the point where their understanding reaches. Kashem she'im dibarta im hachachamim b'dvarim pshutim yazalzelu bach. Wow, that's interesting. Just as if you speak with chachamim simple things, then they will mock you. Kach im tadaber ba'omek im mi she'eno chacham lo yavinosam. So too, if you speak in the depth of the with someone who's not a chacham, he will not understand them. Okay, so this, first of all, just to illustrate, this is why, I always forget what I called the thingy. This is why I say that when it comes to the ranking of the Mishlei commentaries, oh, sorry, that's the different thing. I rank the Targum of Saadia Gaon differently than the Perush of Saadia Gaon, because I think that sometimes we get a better idea out of the Targum. I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm just saying it's a completely different track than what we're saying, right? So can we get an idea out of the Perush? Yeah.
Different thought, not on this.
Not on this. Okay. All right. So why don't you say it, because this will be here tomorrow.
Okay, sure. I think there's also, if you were to say something that you think is intelligent, and then you say to someone who makes you think that it's not intelligent. Yeah. Right. So like this Ksil. And he can make you start questioning.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's also that he starts making you through your words, through the words that you have been saying, he makes you start to question your own say about. Yeah. You start to have this through disparagement. There starts to be issues through that.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Is that don't think that you're immune to mockery of intelligent stuff just because you know it.
You're going to start questioning your own thoughts, even when they are intelligent thoughts.
Yeah.
I was thinking along those lines also, but it reminds me of I don't know if it's a halacha about not engaging with them without the chorus.
Right.
I don't know if it's a halacha or a Torah.
Yeah, Pirkei Avos, whatever you want to classify that as. Yeah.
Yeah. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good idea also. So just to highlight this, we have to stop now. But so Saadia Gaon is saying, I'm just kind of shocked that he says that the type of mockery we're concerned about is of the same nature as a chacham mocking you for saying elementary things, right? Because the pasuk sound. Now you can see why he translates it this way, by the way, right? Is that he's not saying that this is a fool. He's saying that this is someone who just doesn't have a strong mind. So he's totally not taking our approach of a pleasure addict and you're threatening his lifestyle. He's saying this is purely intellectual understanding, and if you miscalibrate your words and the level of the recipient in either direction, then you're going to get mocked. So let's think about that for tomorrow, and then come back to that, and then we can look at the meforshim. I think the approach we had though was good for the for Sean's idea, and I think there's a number of ways to apply it. Okay, let's stop here for today. Very good.